What does it mean to be productive? What is a setup like this for? Today's video is one a lot of you guys have been waiting for. I'm building a recording, video editing, productivity setup. Now, I've done a setup like this in the past. It was pretty, but it didn't actually do a good job at what I needed it to do. See, the monitor had inaccurate colors, the ultra-wide monitor was nice, but one could argue that it was too big. I think the biggest thing I learned was that I wasn't taking advantage of the beautiful display that MacBooks have. Anyways, now we fixed everything wrong with that setup. Not saying that setup was bad, however, in today's video, we're chasing perfection. Okay, so this whole setup is based around the beast of a machine in the 16-inch M1 Max MacBook Pro. I'll talk more about it later on. First thing I had to do was clear out the section of my room I was going to set up. Previously, I had this cube shelf here, and on top of it, I had a floating shoe display, my camera stuff like that. After I moved that out, it was time to start with the desk. Honestly, at first I wanted a standing desk again, then I realized I never used that feature. So I went with one I am very familiar with, an IKEA desk. 2 white Alex drawers and a white marble Eck backing countertop. The countertop measures 74 inches wide, and I don't know the exact depth. I'll put it on the screen right here. Now for the biggest thing in the setup, the monitor. Here's the criteria I have. Accurate colors, wide, and VESA compatible. The crazy part was BenQ reached out to me around this time for a video, so this just worked out. Officially known as BenQ's PD3420Q. It's a 2K QHD 21:9 ultra wide and supports their AQ color technology. I'm not gonna beat around the bush, it's expensive. I mean, $899, it's up there, but it's exactly what I wanted, so thank you to BenQ for sending it out to me and making my workflow that much easier. Next, I want to talk about the little film setup I have over here. Honestly, this is what excited me most about this setup. Featuring Elgato's key light and solid arm extension, this is a little film setup that I can film TikToks and YouTube videos with, just like this right now, how I'm using it. It's the simple, compact film setup I've been looking for the last 2 years. Lots of TikToks and YouTube videos will be filmed right here. All right, so you guys might be curious about this stand. One word, Grove made. They're generous enough to send a few of their products out to me for this video, so big shout out to them. Their unboxing experience was top notch and they sent me everything that I wanted. Of course, this video is sponsored by them as well, so thank you to them and keep that in mind when I'm talking about them. They aren't paying me to say anything specific about their products, but they did want their products in my setup. And to be honest, the materials are nice, and if you can afford the high price tag, it's definitely worth it. They also sent me a beautiful leather mouse pad, a titanium pen, and a leather notebook. Oh yeah, and also a whole iPad stand. Once again, big thank you to Grove Made. Now let's talk peripherals. Keyboard. It's a NK65, switches are Tangerines lubed with Crytox 205 grade 0, and keycaps are PBT Katakana. I have a few extra keycaps from Etsy, such as this Squirtle one and the Mount Fuji one. I even have a couple low keycaps. For the mouse, I'm using the MX Master 3. The scroll horizontally is just too nice for me not to use it. If you are looking into a productivity setup, make sure to pick up one of these MX Masters or the Apple Magic Mouse, just because you can scroll horizontally, and that is a very big help when editing videos. I also use the top mouse button for pasting things and the other one to delete things, just so I can scroll through footage quicker and kind of cut out the parts I don't need. There's kind of a whole method to this madness. I do this because I can keep my right hand on my mouse and my left hand on my keyboard, which makes for faster videos. The last thing for peripherals is my phone stand. I recently got the iPhone 13 Pro Max and I was eyeing this stand specifically. This is the Belkin MagSafe wireless charging dock. I can put my AirPods and my phone. Nothing too crazy, but it's definitely very useful and the aesthetic is beautiful. There are a couple other things on the desk, and that would include the IKEA plants and the Stream Deck. It's the Mark II, and while I don't recommend it if you have the original one, the upgrades are definitely welcomed. As of now, I just set it up, so I just use it to control lights, but in the future, I'm gonna add more shortcuts to websites and hotkeys while I'm editing. That covers everything on the desk. Now let's talk lights. Honestly, I don't need any of these to get stuff done or to be productive, but I love RGB, so here we are. Starting out with the most bold thing here is the light bar that goes behind the monitor. I pretty much always have them as pink, but I love it for when I do overhead shots because the pink shines on the product and it just looks so good. But continuing on, I have an LED strip on the back of the desk. It, as well as everything seen here, will be linked in the description of this video. And the last source of RGB is the light bars behind the monitor. I featured these in my own gaming setup, my little brother's gaming setup. I definitely recommend them if you kind of are looking for another RGB element to add, but you don't necessarily want to add something too flashy. Oh yeah, and I forgot to talk about this budget Quintus light bar at the top of my monitor. The only time I really use it is when I'm editing at night, just because it reduces strain on my eyes and it allows me to work for longer periods. But that includes everything in the setup, except for the MacBook. A couple months ago, I bought the 16-inch M1 Max MacBook Pro, 32 gigabytes of RAM and 1 terabyte of storage. It's a beast, but you probably already know that. Using this MacBook with the SD card reader, MagSafe, and all of the other benefits, it's been so nice. But honestly, the performance is exactly what was advertised and exactly what I was looking for when upgrading from the base 16-inch 2019 MacBook Pro that I originally got for school and light video editing, as well as photo editing. A lot has changed since then. Now I record 4K footage, 422 10-bit at 120 FPS, and there's never any lag, so now I never have to wait for footage to render or frames to catch up. It's amazing, and even though it was $3,800, it was well worth it for me and my workflow and my content. Okay, well, we've gone through the whole setup, but I went ahead and asked Twitter what questions you guys have about the setup, so we're gonna go through a few of those. So here is me answering specific questions that you guys have about the new setup. Benny asked, why'd you put it in your room? I feel like it takes up a lot of space and I would have rather put it in the office. I guess no hate, but it still looks great. So the reason why it's in my room rather than in the office is because I wanted to kind of have a camera setup with my actual gaming setup in the background. As you guys saw in most of the footage, that little camera setup there and in most of the A-roll for this video, you can actually see my gaming setup behind it, and that was kind of the whole goal with this setup aside from editing and productivity. Sean asked, how are you liking the new M1 Max? If in any way, shape, or form your laptop or your primary work device is holding you back from creating what you have to create, then I 100% recommend getting one of these new M1 MacBook Pros. It has served me well and I've had it ever since launch, so I think at this point that's a few months now. And lastly, Boss Dog asked, what is the total price? To be honest, I don't even know personally, so I'm gonna add up everything right now. My laptop is $3,800, give or take. I believe it's a little bit over, but it doesn't really matter. The monitor goes for $900, so I'm gonna add $900. Already we're at $4,700. Each Alex drawer is $80, two of those, $160, plus another $80 for the countertop. The monitor mount is about $40. The keyboard is about $300. The MX Master is $100. The iPad mini is $500. The Grove-made laptop stand is $170. The iPad stand is $90. The mouse pad is $20. The phone mount is about $100. The RGB strip's about $30. The little light bar is $100. The Quintus light bar is $40. The light bars behind the monitor are about $80. The Stream Deck is $100. The key light is $100. The solid arm is like $20 or $30. IKEA plant is, I don't even know, probably like $10. And the pen. This pen is expensive. It's $130. In total, the entire setup is $6,880. Quick disclaimer before we wrap up this video. There are many things here that I might not actually recommend from a budget standpoint. There are a ton of cheaper alternatives to everything listed here, so I just wanted to make that clear. In all, I'm definitely gonna get good use of this setup. I mean, I already spend 7 to 8 hours here a day, and I'm so much more productive than when I would lay on my bed working or at my gaming desk. So once again, big thank you to Grove-made, Elgato, and BenQ for sponsoring this video. And big thank you to you guys for supporting me and putting me in a position to make something as dope as this setup. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe. Peace.